Oh my god. You might be wondering what I just showed you and why I sound so shocked. This is because I achieved one of the hardest badges to obtain in all of Roblox, with only less than 1% of players owning it. You might already know what game this is, but for those of you who don't know, it is called Deepwoken, and it is one of the hardest, if not the hardest game on Roblox. And to obtain W rank is on a whole nother level. Now before this video starts, I just want to break down what W rank is, what you need to get it, and what you are rewarded with. First off, Deepwoken has a ranking system where when you die permanently, you are teleported to an area where you have to wipe your character slot and basically confirm to deleting your character. When you do, it gives you a list of all the achievements that you have done on that character. At the end of the list, it gives you a rating depending on how many of these achievements you have done. When it tallies up, you're rewarded with echoes. Echoes are like a currency you can spend in the character creation screen to boost your progression and to manipulate odds like your resonance rarity or starting equipment. There are 7 ranks, which are E rank, D rank, C rank, B rank, A rank, S rank, and W rank. How these ranks work is there are 28 achievements. If you complete all of them, then you are rewarded with S rank with a total of 140 echoes. But if you complete all 28 with insanely hard modifiers, then you are rewarded with W rank for a total of 441 echoes. You may be wondering what these modifiers are. There are a lot, so I'll just tell you the important ones. First, we have Fragile Heart, which increases the damage you take from mobs by double, already starting off with a banger. Next, we have Hollow, which makes it to where every time you die, which will happen a lot, you get sent to the depths. For those who don't know, the depths is basically like a last chance to save your character. The depths is an area that you can permanently lose your character if you die. The only way to escape the depths is to go to the city at the center of the map and face a very challenging trial. Once you've beat the trial, you are sent back up to the overworld. So in short, the depths is like the Deepwoken version of hell. This is very bad for W rank, since there is another modifier that makes the mob of whatever trial you get corrupted, meaning they deal 50% more damage and have 2.5 times more health. One more modifier that affects the depths is Vow of Thorns. This makes your trial insanely hard, but it also boosts progression. Next up is Ironwoken. This modifier just basically makes sure that you can't get boosted by an ult or another player, by taking away the ability to pick up other items from players. Another major modifier is 1-bit, which basically means you can't swim and will die if you even so as touch the water. And the last game-changing modifier is Destined. Whoever created this modifier actually needs to go to hell, because this one is just straight up evil. This modifier makes the game randomly choose talents and cards for you. Now this doesn't sound so bad, but when you have no cards that can assist you in fights and could potentially completely save you from dying, it can impact gameplay a lot. Oh, and here are the other ones if you are interested in reading them. Now here are all the achievements I need to do. Does it sound like a hassle and completely unnecessary? Yes, it does. But is it needed for W rank? Yes, it is. And I really want that luscious, deep green name tag. In case you were wondering, that's the reward for getting W rank. Just a green name tag and 400 echoes. That's it. I can see why people don't go for W rank. Enough explaining, it is time to tell you the strategy and my plan for starting and beating W rank. First, I would choose a dangerous name with immense aura. Cinder Farad. Next, I would be going Frostjaw and Flame Charm as my attunement. I chose Frostjaw because I could potentially get one of the best mobility mantras in the game, Ice Skate. I chose Flame Charm for the burn damage because it does a surprisingly good job at posture breaking mobs, letting you just get free hits. For the origin, I decided to choose Voidwalker since last I checked, you can't get Voidwalked if you are also a Voidwalker. For the stats, I figured that strength was basically useless since the only reason to go strength was the cards, but since I can't pick my own cards, there was no point. Same thing with intelligence. Instead, I decided to go all fortitude to get more HP so I can tank a little bit more damage. I also decided to pick agility because I could maneuver around the map more and get through layer 2 easier. The last attribute I was going to dump all my points into was willpower, because willpower has very useful talents such as underdog, last resort, 11th hour, breathing exercise, and old habits die hard. And I just chose charisma as a filler, so when I need to power up, I can do it right there. Okay, now that we have a strategy, let's get started. The first thing I wanted to do was Trial of 1, so I used the Deceiver's Charm to summon my boat and got to work. Eventually I arrived to Minitirsa and started to make my way to Trial of 1. Trial of 1 is basically free levels as long as you beat the 9 trials it throws at you. Once you complete each wave, it gives you points to spend freely all the way up until power 7 and then it kicks you out. I would be lying if I said this was easy, because I died about 20 times before I got out at a decent level. That double mob damage really makes an impact. I eventually beat the Trial of 1 after a couple hours. The next thing to do for my run was to head to Crypt and farm levels. I chose Crypt for 2 reasons. 1, it was super close, and 2, you can get an Immortal Helm. The Immortal Helm can save you from 1 more hit when you're supposed to get knocked, making this a must-have for any W rank attempt. When I actually tried fighting the guards, I realized that they deal a lot of damage, so I would have to take breaks when fighting them to heal up. But when I was healing up, I got Voidwalked, which I didn't know was possible. So then obviously I got sent to the depths. Whenever I got sent to the depths, it was always a corrupted enforcer that I had to face. I know that sounds pretty hard, but it is actually pretty easy. The only thing not making them easy was my internet, which kept freezing at random times, causing me to die instantly. Because of this, I would be wasting hours of progress just to get sent to the depths to die by my internet. So now that I knew being a Voidwalker doesn't have any benefits, I switched my origin to Lone Warrior. This origin just spawns you inside the Trial of 1, so I don't have to waste countless time sailing back and forth. I also decided that I didn't need Frostjaw because the chances of me actually getting Ice Skate was almost impossible. I also realized that I didn't need the Vow of Thorns multiplier when I was reading the wiki. That would have been nice to know before I was 14 hours in. After making these changes, I went back to Crypt where I died again. At this point, I decided that going to Crypt was not helpful at all. So instead of going to Crypt, I'll be going to Starswept Valley is a great place to progress through the mid stage of the game. The only downside being that every Voidwalker or ganker is usually here waiting for a fight. I decided to progress here until I was about power 16, and then it was time to head on to the first boss.
Oh, it seems one of you land dwellers has finally decided to wake me up. Well, Squirt, what do you want? Well, that's quite rude, isn't it? Asking my name without even giving your own. Typical land dwellers. No manners, I swear. Oh, come on, I'm just pulling your leg. Anywho, I don't think I'll be telling you my name, but how's about a little wager? Yes, a wager. You mortals love wagers, from what I've seen anyway. You bet your life, and I bet a relic you might be interested in. How's that sound?
The Ferryman is a very agile boss that deals a lot of damage. Out of all the bosses, this was probably the one that I was the worst at, mainly because I never fight him and there are much better options. Because I never fight the Ferryman, I failed the parry check that he does most of the time. It's not because I'm bad, but because there were times where he'd clip inside the walls and keep attacking me, making his moves impossible to see. I kept dying to the ferryman so much that I got an enforcer's axe from the trial. Eventually, I was fed up on dying over and over to the ferryman, so I decided to do layer 2 instead.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
But before I had to go to the depths, I wanted to knock out some tasks like cooking food, catching a fish, modifying a mantra, turning in pure ore, drinking an attribute flask, and enchanting a weapon. I forgot to mention that I already have an attribute unbounded, so that's another task off the list. In order to get to layer 2, first I had to jump into a whirlpool, and then make it towards Claire's at Castle Light in the depths. I wanted to do layer 2 because there's a boss there called Chaser. I wanted to do Chaser for a couple reasons. Doing Chaser could give me bell progression, so it could save me from dying only once. This was super important, so I had to save it for the right time. I also needed to beat Chaser for the achievement, so with this said, I went down to layer 2. Layer 2 floor 1 is actually pretty simple. In order to get to the boss, you first have to navigate the area and complete tiny tasks like getting this key for the door and beating this bone keeper to be able to turn on the generator, letting you progress further. While in layer 2 floor 1, you are always on a time crunch. If you look close, there are parasites growing on you. If you go too long without using a lantern, you will die. Dying right now has no consequences since I have a light hook. A light hook is the golden circle you can see on my character. The light hook lets you escape death without any consequences. The only downside is that it has a limited duration, and if you die after it expires, you get wiped. After turning on the generator, I had to go through the cave, which took me a while to memorize. Once I got out, I talked to an NPC, then went back into the cave to exit through the door. Now all I had to do was get past the Bounder's Nest, which is easier said than done. If you don't have a strategy to avoid them, you will die for sure. After the Bounder's Nest, you have to platform across small islands while avoiding enemies, all as the islands crumble beneath you. Once you get past all of the platforming and enemies, you can enter the boss room and fight Chaser. Chaser plays like a gimmick boss fight. To actually damage him, you first have to break all the blood vials that he's using. Once they're destroyed, you get a short window to deal damage before the cycle repeats. When he gets back up, he heals, which makes this fight really annoying. What's even more annoying is I can't keep my chain stacks, because when he vents, he does just enough damage to cancel it out, only for people who are trying to get W rank. Eventually, when you bring him down to 1 bar, he enters a sort of second phase that constantly drains your health while he throws more attacks at you, forcing you to multitask. Each tick deals 2%, which is brutal if you're already low. After this phase, you can either go deeper into floor 2 where Etheron is, or head back up with the light hook. I chose to go back up since I was saving Etheron for later. While I was doing Chaser, I got the best PvE weapon, the Evanspear Great Axe. What makes this weapon so good is the bleed damage it deals after you hit them. The bleed damage causes more posture breaks and a big boost in damage overall. With Chaser off my task list, it was time to go back and fight the ferryman. Finally, I have beat one of the easiest bosses in the game. That took way too long. The next thing on the list was to head towards the monkey's paw and kill Primadon. Primadon is a really easy boss, but the problem is everybody loves to farm him, so finding a server where nobody was there was basically impossible. Once I defeated Primadon, the next thing to do on my list was to go and defeat Duke. But before I could actually fight Duke, I had to do the Kenneth storyline. It's basically a short story about how Kenneth learns too much about the Lord Regent and gets killed for it. After which, the Lord Regent sends you to fight Duke. Duke is a pretty annoying boss, but easy. The only thing not easy is his first phase when he has the shield up. And since I have the fragile heart modifier, all of his moves would do at least a bar of damage, making it nearly impossible for me to solo him. After dying to Duke and escaping the depths a couple times, I decided to look for somebody in the Deepwoken Discord. I mainly did this because I couldn't even get Duke down a bar before I was dead. With Duke off the list, I decided to kill the world events, Interluminary Paracel, and the Doom of Caranthel. When I beat the Doom of Caranthel, it also gave me a murmur, checking that off the list as well. After I beat the world bosses, I went and got my oath. And crafted master armor as well. I also needed to do a pretty difficult task, which was win a chime match. For those of you who don't know what chime is, it's kind of the PvP or ranked mode of Deepwoken. Doing this on a PvE build was not gonna be easy. It took me around an hour or 16 matches to find somebody awful and beat them. Once I was finished with chime, I had to go to the Great Hive to give this NPC 4 enchants to receive 1 back. Once I was finished with that, I had to go to the depths to complete a few more tasks. One of these tasks was making a deal with the Deep Shrine, which I did here. The other one was to use a pluripotent alloy, which is easy because Chaser usually drops one. Now that I've finished all the smaller tasks, it's finally time to take on Chaser hookless. I'm not going to show the whole run because it wasn't any different from the other ones I did earlier. The only thing different I did was play way safer so I didn't wipe. With Chaser down, I collected my loot and went deeper. Floor 2 is an extremely dangerous area if you don't know what you are doing. In order to reach Etherion, you first have to travel to the city. To get there, you must dodge the pillars of light, otherwise spears will rain down on you. Once you make it through, you'll need to complete a library puzzle in order to actually get to the city. But luckily, the code was solved long ago when it first released, making this section pretty easy. Once done with the puzzle, you are granted a passage into the city. As soon as you get into the city, you need to look for a total of 5 obelisks, like the one I activated in the beginning. With 2 obelisks activated already, all I needed was 3 more. I forgot to mention that if you don't turn on all the shrines before a timer runs out, it time loops you. This means I won't be able to take damage and then slowly heal too often, forcing me to play more aggressively. One of the obelisks that I need to get was located through a portal at the top of the tower, knocking another one off the list. The next obelisk was easily the most dangerous one. One mistake here meant wiping and restarting everything. What makes this one so hard is there are 2 Chris guards stationed in this area. Chris guards hit incredibly hard and ragdoll you on top of it. So if you're not careful, you're basically dead. The plan was to find a way around them and enter the sewer where the obelisk is located. And with that said, let me just show you what happened. Oh my god, no. Just so much damage. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, immortality. Oh my god, no way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Oh my god. With just nearly wiping, my bell saved me, giving me one more chance to beat Ethereon. I quickly went into the sewers, turned on the obelisk, and went back up. But then this happened. Oh my god, why is he right there? No, no, no. No, what? No. Oh my god, I'm stuck. No, I don't wipe here. Oh my god. Oh my god. No way. Oh my god. Yeah. Another extremely close call. I was practically shaking at this point and needed to heal, so I took a minute break before I started going forward again. After I was full HP, I went down and activated the last obelisk. Once I activated the last obelisk, the timer doesn't go down anymore, meaning I could do whatever I wanted to and not be punished. Now that I had all the time I wanted, I decided to go to an NPC called Miserabilis. Miserabilis does one main thing, and that is to give you a 30% damage buff in exchange for medallions. You can find medallions in pink chests scattered randomly through the city. Luckily, I found one in the sewers when I was turning on the obelisk. Once I was done talking to Miserabilis, I started making my way towards Etheron. All I had to do was interact with the orb to spawn Etheron, but I decided to wait and check my talents first, since I never really looked at them. Once I was finished, it was finally time to summon Etheron. Okay, I'm ready. And with that, the boss fight began. To defeat Ethereon, you have to wait for him to use one of his 8 attacks, the bones. Once you parry a bone, it drops to the floor and you can pick it up. Once you have one, you can place it into one of the holders. You need to do this across 3 floors, with 3 stands on each floor for a total of 9. I fought Etheron a few times before on different slots, so I wasn't a stranger to his moves. However, he does way more damage here, and if I mess up, it's over. There's one move in particular that I'm worried about. His ult. Just one tick of damage from it and I'm basically half HP, making it very stressful. Knowing this, as soon as I heard the audio cue, I had to prepare myself. Looked pretty easy, right? That's because I've wiped from this move a ton of times on other slots, so I have a little bit of practice. As long as I keep this up, I'll beat him easily. While I was putting bones in the stands, anytime I got close to half HP, I made sure to go down to the first floor and get a health pack. After you put all the bones in the pillars, you are given a chance to deal as much damage to Ethereon as possible. When he breaks free from the tethers, you have to go on each floor to find and replace the bone that broke. And just like that, Etheron goes down. But it's not over yet. In order to escape, you first need to run as quickly as possible back towards the main gate to get to the light hook. You have to be quick or else the time bombs will instantly kill you. You also have to watch out for groups of enemies that try to stop you from escaping. Oh my god. Yes, okay. Yes! Oh my god, yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Woo! Oh my god! Okay. I just hope I don't get ganked. With Etheron down, there were just two more things to do. The two things were bargain with Yun Shul and Hell mode. I quickly did Yun Shul and then moved on to Hell mode. In order to do Hell mode, you need 4 people to ring the Hell bell to activate the event. Once the event starts, an insane amount of mobs start spawning. You have to kill 100 of those mobs for the event to be completed. The hardest part of this task wasn't fighting the mobs, but was finding people to do it with. I kid you not, I was in every Discord server looking for people to run it with, and it took me around 5 hours just to find one group of people. With everyone ready, we started Hell mode. And when I said we, I meant them, because I ran like a little bitch to hide in a safe spot, because no way I was about to wipe on the last task. Don't worry though, because I paid them with Sinner's Ashes. After sitting aside the room for 15 minutes, Hell mode was complete. With Hell mode completed, it was finally time to wipe my character and see the final result. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you if you watched this far. This video took me a really long time, and it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.